Hey everybody, Coach Mike here with the Surge School of Fitness, Elevations Training, and Surge Athletics. We're excited to bring you this new program and offer you some challenges along the way while explaining just about everything we do in the process. So today we're going to talk about Macros 101. And what do I mean by Macros 101? Well, I'm going to show you how we get to the numbers we get to. It's not some magical number that we kind of pull out of the air. Instead, we go through some very long calculations to get you there. But if I can give you the skills to make these calculations, you can make adjustments in the future yourself after this program is over. So what we're going to do is start out with plugging and playing my numbers so you can see how we got to your numbers as well. Now, this is going to be a little bit different than when coaches go about making your numbers. When coaches make your numbers, they're going to make real-time assessments based on how they know you, how you adjust, if you're a fast or slow burner, so on and so forth when it comes to calories. They have that insight, and with the surveys that you've given, have some extra clout in making those decisions on how high and how low they want to go. So with that being said, let's dig in. Now, when it comes to equations, this is the one that we're going to use today. Now, there's several equations out there when it comes to calculating your BMR, or what we call your basal metabolic rate. Your basal metabolic rate is what it would be every day if you were just at rest, what your body would expend in calories. And it varies for all of us based on age, height, gender, etc., etc. And this is the basic equation that we're going to use to calculate what that sedentary or basal metabolic rate is before we include any activity factor whatsoever. Okay, so the equation that we've got that we're using for this particular assessment is 10 times your weight in kilograms plus 6.25 times your height in centimeters. Important to make the conversions here. Sometimes people lock in pounds and inches, and those can really extremely throw off your numbers, and you'll be thousands of calories out of the way. And then minus 5 times your age, and either a plus 5 for men or a minus 161 for women at the end, okay? Now, when you're plugging these numbers in, it's important to remember that elementary math PEMDAS, right? When we go into different ways that we're adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, we want to make sure that we're multiplying and dividing first before we add and subtract anything through this equation, okay? So when you're plugging in, remember, multiply these first, these three sections, and then you can start the addition and subtraction along the way, okay? So first thing we're going to do, I'll show you my numbers here. I'm going to go 10 times my weight in kilograms. So you can just use a simple Google calculator for this, calculator on your phone if you know how to make the conversion, but it's really easy just to go in, click, and find what your weight is in kilograms. My weight in kilograms is 79.4. I am 175 pounds, well, now you know, and so making that conversion over makes that number a lot less. You can see it's almost 100 less than the 175 here. So it's going to make a big difference if I mess that part up, okay? So plus 6.25 times my height in centimeters, which I've already calculated, that's 180 centimeters, okay? So I'm going to put down 180.34 to be exact, minus 5 times my, let's give this one away now, age 31, plus 5 since I'm a male. It would be minus 161 if I was female, okay? And then I'm just going to go through the simple order of operations, okay? So I'm going to grab my calculator, get that done, and then show you guys what that result is. All right, so I ran the equation really quick, and what I've got is my multiplication first, and then I'm going to go ahead and add, subtract, and add again here at the very end, okay? And then I'm going to show you that my BMR came out to be about a 1,771 calories per day. That's what I burn without any physical activity. Okay, so that's that basic basal metabolic rate, okay? Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add an activity factor to that, because none of us just sit all day. We have some sort of activity level. Now, that could be through exercise, or it could be through our daily commute, or some type of walk, run, you know, you name it, the type of movement that we do throughout the work day, when we go on lunch, so on and so forth. So in some way, shape, or form, we get physical activity in each day. So it's just a matter of finding out how much physical activity we do. That's where a coach can really help here, is kind of determine that physical activity level that you want to find or bridge that gap for you. But we're gonna go through a basic route here, okay? So we've got 5 different numbers right down here, okay? And these are all based on activity levels. I've got a 1.2, 1.375, 1.55, 1.725, and 1.9. Now activity levels vary, but activity levels will stay within a 1 to 2.0 factor here, okay? So when I'm looking for what I might be, how active I am through the day, 1.2 will be more sedentary, all the way up to 1.9 or 2.0 where we're competitive athletes and whatnot. I'll explain that here in a second. So if I'm going to have a 1.2 activity factor and say I'm sedentary, I'm going to multiply that by my BMR, okay? So I'm gonna multiply my BMR by 1.2 if I'm a sedentary person, okay? Now, if I wanna say I bump it up a notch, I do exercise roughly 1 to 3 times per week. 1.375 is a good number for you there. And this is a 1 to 2 times, maybe 3 times as well, exercise throughout the week. So this says that, yeah, I still go to the gym, I still work out, I still do minor things here and there. I might go for a hike on the weekends, okay? And the heavier exercises, if you will, are going to be more towards the 3 to 4 times per week range of exercise in conjunction with a healthy, active lifestyle, meaning you get a lot of physical activity throughout the day as well. When we start to get towards the higher range, this is our 5-time-a-week exercisers, roughly 5 times, about to 6 maybe per week. And that's for 1 hour or so in the gym, outside, on the bike, you name it. It could be any type of physical activity, or if your job is very demanding in physical activity as well. So if you're a construction worker or you're outdoors doing landscaping or something like that, you're gonna fit more towards this 1.795 and 1.9 range. And 1.9 being more of our competitive athletes, people that are very, very active throughout the day. They exercise maybe 2 to 3 hours a day. They may be that 1.9 to 2.0 range, so they're going to be basically doubling their calories in some cases. And this can change too. So you know, a lot of these accessories that have come out, the Fitbits and Garmin's and so on and so forth, that calculate calories for you based on heart rate and variables such as that. Those ones can show you the variation very, very well throughout the day that occurs. So sometimes somebody on a bike ride, just for example, I work with a lot of triathletes, somebody on a bike ride on a Saturday that may ride 6 hours, maybe closer to a 3.0 for a given day. Now we are gonna kind of even that out across the week and try to bring them down a tad, but they're gonna be almost double, triple, quadruple this on those really, really heavy days, especially in these long distance races, okay? So that's what a coach helps with, is kind of get that variation in there and find you ways to build in some extra calories before, after, so on and so forth. But basically, what we see here is this activity factor that we're gonna take that BMR and multiply by, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say that I exercise 5 to 6 times per week. I am a competitive athlete, but for the sake of the measurements here, I'm gonna do 1.725 times my 1771, excuse me, here. So I go 1.75, 725, excuse me, and then I'm gonna find that number from there, okay? So let me calculate that one really quick and then I'll get back. Okay, so I made the calculation here with my handy dandy calculator, okay? And I found that I require roughly 3,055 calories per day, okay? That's if I maintain that competitive athlete lifestyle. That will vary, again, like I said. So you can go higher or lower on any given day depending on what your exercise, training, work, etc., load is. But this is a really good rough number to start with, and pretty exact from what we see through these scientific methods that have developed these equations, okay? So 3,055 is what I'm gonna start with, and I'm gonna set a goal weight, and I'm gonna set a few other goals to go with it, that I can calculate some numbers with this 3,055, or some numbers looking forward that we'll get the macros with, okay? So what I'm gonna do is take the 3,055, apply it, take this equation out, and start playing with the percentages, or the macro percentages that we've given you, okay? All right, here we go. So I went ahead and took that 3,055 calories, posted it up top here, okay? And my goal is going to be isocaloric. So basically that means that I want to maintain my weight right now because I'm in an off season and I want to be able to continue to build strength, but maintain most of the weight that I'm carrying because I'm a triathlete and I don't want to lose a lot of weight. Now I'm just using myself as an example, and some of us are here for late weight loss, so we're going to try to go into a deficit, right? Or performance athletes might even be trying to go higher than this number here, or higher than whatever physical activity number we calculated it is, because they want to gain a little bit of weight either in muscle mass or in body structure, depending on what their goals are. So goals are going to vary, but I'm just going to show you the isocaloric, or the non-changing version of calculating the calories, BMR, so on and so forth here, okay? So what we're going to start with is fats. With being an endurance athlete, the way that we break up in a base season carbohydrates, fats, and protein is about a 20-50-30 rule, and those change, of course, as we get further into our seasons. And it can be the same with people with weight loss goals too. These can vary depending on what season you're in with your weight loss goal and what you're looking to achieve, okay? So what I'm gonna do is take this 30-55 and I'm gonna break it down on 20, 50, and 30, and then we're gonna divide from there to see what we're looking for. Now there are gonna be a number of changes here for others as well, that you may be on a set gram amount and you're not worried too much about a percentage amount. For example, if somebody's looking to maintain protein, they may be 1 gram of protein for every pound of body fat. So if you weigh 140 pounds, you may go on 140 grams of protein per day to start out. Women usually go just a tad bit lower, around a 0.0 or a 0.8 range, or an 80% range of whatever it is that's calculated for their 1 gram for every pound. So those numbers again change and can go anywhere from 0.8 to 1.5 in really, really heavy training seasons. We get towards that 1.5. Some may even go higher. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and make the calculation, okay? I'm gonna grab my calculator again, which I dropped on the ground conveniently a second ago. And I'm gonna make these numbers up, okay? So I'm gonna take that 3,055 and I'm going to times that by 0.2, which is gonna give me 611 calories per day for fats. That's my allocation for fats, okay? If I take that same number, 3,055 of my calories, and I times it by 0.5, that's gonna give me 1,528 calories roughly. I always round up on calories of carbohydrate, and then if I do 30, it's whatever this leftover is or the difference, but I can still just calculate 0.30 and it'll give me the same thing, and that's 917 calories roughly, again rounding up here. Okay, so that's the caloric count, but that's harder to keep track of than a gram amount, right? So every calorie, or excuse me, every gram of fat is 9 calories, right? So I'm gonna divide by 9. Every gram of carbohydrate is 4 calories, okay? And the same thing for protein and carbohydrates, okay? And this is going to give me my grams for the day, okay? So I'm gonna take 611 and I'm gonna divide it by 9 right here, and that's gonna give me, rounding up, 68 grams of fat per day is my goal here. This is a macro number, okay? 68 grams of fat. I'm gonna go 1528, divide by 4 here, and that gives me 382, so 382 grams carbohydrate, okay? That is my macro number there, and then 917 divided by 4 equals 229 grams protein. Now see, if I would have done that calculation as, because I'm a competitive athlete, if I would have done that calculation as just protein per pound of body weight, I only would have come up with 175. So this gets me more in a ballpark if I want to keep percentages as to where I can be closer to being a competitive athlete or a high performance recreational athlete, because I'm going to require a little bit more protein each day, okay? These numbers can be flexible depending on the person, like I mentioned in the beginning, but this is essentially how we would get to the end goal of where we would set a macro. And now these macros are going to vary depending on your goals. Again, I know I keep going back to goals, but if the goal is to kind of cut weight and then get strong, we might go high and then cut you out and level you off in this isocaloric way. Okay, so there's a lot of variations that go with this. If you have any questions over the variations, feel free to ask us during this. And whatever you're on, we've done it for a reason right now. So if you have any question on that why or that reason, feel free again to contact us. But this is Macros 101. This is how you get those numbers. That's how we got your numbers in some way, shape, or form. And now we go from here and we just keep developing to make it the best nutritional equation your life can fit. Hope you guys really like this video. If you do, please comment below on anything you have questions, comments, concerns on. Even if you don't like it, comment too. We look forward to hearing from you and what you've encountered during this challenge when it comes to your macros. Type of calories throughout the day and have lower caloric expenditure necessary. I really screwed up that one.